We have with us today an award-winning author, Nicole Lataif, who specializes in children's books. Welcome, Nicole. Thanks for being on ClearVoice.
Thank you so much.
Glad to have you. We have a copy of your book here. It's called Forever You, a book about soul and body. So we have a shot of that. And this is your first book, I understand. Tell us about it.
It is. So this book explains what is the soul to children 4 to 8 years old. And it does it, it includes the tenets of the theology of the body that are appropriate for this age group. So, for example, we can build our character through our actions, that we're made to love God and love others. It talks about gifts and talents and how our actions represent our soul.
That caught my interest, the theology of the body aspect, because I always thought of that as something geared toward, teens at the youngest and adults. So, but there are aspects that can be taught to young children.
Yes. Obviously, we don't mention anything adult-related, just simply that we are called to love God and love others through our actions. And anybody at any age can learn to help the sick, to care for, and tend to the poor. There are multiple aspects of being a human being that involve loving that are for all ages. And
let me ask you, this is your first book, you said.
Yes.
It came out in
Yes,
November. And it's beautifully illustrated. Tell us about just the idea. You've had a calling to do this, you said, since you were 6.
I have, from the time I can remember, God was calling me to write children's picture books. And it wasn't until I got older that I realized that's a very specific calling. Mary Rojas did an amazing job with the illustrations. I did not see the illustrations until the end. So the neat thing about this, and most picture books, a lot of people don't realize, is that the author usually has no input on the illustrations. So it was inspired from 2 angles, and God really made it come together nicely.
And you said this is non-denominational, which is interesting, but it also, your book sold out at the Society of Children's Books Writers, which is not religiously affiliated at all, right?
Right. There was a conference in Florida and in Miami. It's one of the hottest children's book writers conferences, and shockingly, God willed it. The book sold out to the writers, the illustrators, the publishers, the editors, all of the representatives from the writing industry who were there.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
And what's the reaction from people who read it, from kids? What do they seem to think about it?
They seem to grasp the concept much more quickly than I was expecting. And I think that that's been a huge blessing. I do a presentation for children to talk about how to develop their God-given gifts and talents, which is an aspect of the book. So we talk about the fact that God has given us gifts, and if you were given a gift, you would want to open it. And if you don't want to open it, that's not going to happen. Like, you want to open the gift. So in the presentation, I bring a gift, and I leave it up there, the whole presentation. And at the end, I say, do you guys want to open this gift? And they all say, yeah. And I say, no, I think I'm going to leave. And they say, no, stay. Open the gift. And so I say, are you sure? And they say, yeah. And I say, great, because that's what God gave you. He gave you a gift, and unless you open it, it's the same thing as walking away from this gift. And of course, inside is a bunch of candy, which everyone loves, and it works out well. So in that way, the presentation along with the book works well with the kids.
Well, you obviously have a gift. That's a great way to get children to respond. And tell us more about the book itself, what the storyline is.
Sure. So it's more of it's a nonfiction book, so it explains what is the soul. Your soul is in all you are and do, soul and body, forever you. Your soul is in your hopes. It's in your gifts. It did not fly down from in a jet engine airplane. It didn't wash up in a blue wave. It was given to you when your life began, from God. And so it goes through, it sort of answers the who, what, where, when, why questions about the soul,
right,
and then talks about the fact that our souls are for Christ and for heaven and for God. And then there's a picture of Jesus with children in heaven. And it talks about, your soul is for helping others, for the, I forget the exact words, but for the poor, help the sick, help the lonely, that sort of thing.
And let me ask, were you surprised that it did so well at a secular conference like that?
I was surprised but not shocked, because I prefaced the selling of the book with the story of the 6th grade boy. I was teaching chastity to 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, and a 6th grade boy said that it was too late to save himself for marriage at 6th grade.
Wow.
I was just at a conference in Tennessee, a Catholic conference. A Catholic mom, a 6-year-old, went over to her friend's house, and her other 6-year-old friend, these are 2 female 6-year-olds, one said to the other, "Let's go on this pornographic website."
Wow.
And so the idea that we are more, that our bodies are temples of God is important.
It's very important. And to follow on the heels of the book, you've created a website called kidsfaithgarden.com.
Yes.
And that's basically just a continuing education of what the storyline is.
Exactly. So every month we feature a different virtue. So this month is honesty, next month is cleanliness, we've had citizenship, a ton of virtues, 12 for the whole month. And we have 7 or 8 writers and illustrators. So the illustrators work on the activities and developing activities to teach kids these virtues. And the writers write blog entries to either, so they write directly to the parents or the teachers or the educators on how to, communicate that virtue to children.
Great, something worth checking out. We wish you the best of luck and continued success with the
Thank
book.
you very
Nicole
much.
Lataif, thanks for joining us today on ClearVoice.
Thank you so much.